And good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Yellow Jacket pregame show. I'm your host, Keith Womack, and I'll be with head coach Steve Bordeaux here tonight as the Yellow Jackets get ready for what would be their third game of the season against Union Pines. This will be their first Tri-County 3A matchup of the season. Last week's game with Triton, as of course most of you know, was not played and has been rescheduled. And we're going to talk a lot more about that as we get into the program tonight. There is a revised schedule, so there's a lot of things that could possibly change, but we'll make sure we keep all of our the Yellow Jacket fans up to date. Of course, tonight's show is brought to you by some great sponsors. We'd like to start with Wilkinson Chevrolet, also Domino's, M.R. Stoner Electric, Sheriff Tracy Carter, Carolina Firearms, and Kendall Pawn. Thanks to all these folks for helping bring you the Coaches Show every Tuesday at 7 o'clock on 105.5 WFJA. And, of course, we'll rebroadcast it again at 5:30 this Friday night prior to the 6:30 kickoff against Union Pines, also right here on 105.5 WFJA. I also want to remind everybody that the video will be posted on Facebook by noon tomorrow, so make sure you tune in and take a listen to it early tomorrow. I look forward to talking to head coach Yellow Jacket head coach Steve Bordeaux and bringing you updates and previews for the Yellow Jacket football game that's coming up this Friday. We're going to take a short break and hear from our great sponsors. We'll be right back with head coach Steve Bordeaux right after these messages.
Coaches Show sponsors: Wilkinson Chevrolet in their new location on Highway 87 South. Domino's with convenient locations throughout the Lee County area. M.R. Stoner Electric, residential, industrial, and commercial electricians. Sheriff Tracy Carter, proud to support high school athletics. Carolina Firearms, your full-service firearms training and gun store. Kendall Pawn Shop, buy, sell, trade. Brick Capital Video, for all special occasions. WFJA for all your sports, FM 105.5.
And welcome back once again to the Yellow Jacket pregame show. I'm your host, Keith Womack, and of course with us tonight, head coach Steve Bordeaux. Coach, first of all, thanks for being here.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me. Appreciate all the sponsors that help make this happen.
And I do want to remind everybody during this time of COVID, we are in a booth separate from each other. So if you see us not wearing masks and we look like we're sitting right beside each other, we kind of are, but we've got some stuff separating us. So please don't be alarmed. We're all safe here and cozy in the WFJA studio. I do want to discuss a little bit, Coach. We had a recent schedule change. Obviously, last week the Yellow Jackets were scheduled to play Triton, and Triton elected to play the game at a later date. I think that game has been scheduled for April 5th.
Yes, sir.
So Jacket fans, go ahead and put that on your schedule and get ready to be prepared to go pull for the Jackets during that game as well. Coach, that's a big change. Sometimes you just kind of roll with the punches and go with it, but how did this affect your team, and did you guys prepare any different because you didn't play Friday?
You know, so for us, we didn't find out till Thursday, so we were prepared all week for Triton. So we had a full week of preparation to get ready for Triton. So we had a regular normal week of practice. We're trying to get better as a team and prepare for them. But I think one thing that football teaches us, and teach it within the last whole year of this pandemic, has taught everybody how to battle through adversity. And I think that this is just another step to teach these boys that, everything ain't going to happen how you want it, and you got to be able to roll and make the best of it. And I think the boys did a really good job of that. We still came in on Friday and got a nice workout in, and we turned our focus to Union Pines.
Well, Coach, real quick, too, just speaking of COVID and the fact that this game got delayed, how has this affected you guys? We hear all the talk about the college basketball tournament going on right now and what those teams and those schools do to prepare. What kind of message do you give your kids? Because I know it's tough for those kids not to go out and hang out with their buddies, but how do y'all prepare week for week? Because you've got about 6 more weeks of this where everybody's got to stay healthy and they got to stay smart.
Yeah, so one of our biggest messages is, when you're not away, we shouldn't be worried about are you wearing a mask or not. It should be second nature at this point. So if we see them show up to school and we have extra masks and we give them to the kids, but we're talking to them. All right, if you're showing up without it, then you might not be wearing it outside. So the boys are doing a really good job with that. We don't they're coming, they're wearing them. They're wearing them every day while we're on campus. But we're more worried about when they're not there at this point, because while they're there, we know they're going to be safe. We know we're going to be washing our hands and have the sanitizer. The school's got us the things we need to be safe. But we just keep sending that message that it doesn't stop when you leave, 1708 Nash Street.
That's right. So if one of the kids, for example, if he's not feeling well, or if he knows he's come in contact with a parent or a sibling who has tested positive for COVID-19, are they instructed to alert you immediately?
Yeah.
So take precautions?
So one of our big messages in general is communication, and throughout this whole thing, communication is even more vital than ever. So we talk to the boys often. We have a questionnaire. We ask them every day when they get to campus. We have to check their temperatures every day. But we want to know before they even get to school if there is an issue, and if there is, we're going to keep them away until there's no longer an issue.
Well, Coach, again, Lee County Triton game last week got moved to a later date, which is going to be April 5th. We do know that, but there were a couple of other conference teams that did play last Friday night, and of course, the Cavaliers across town got a big victory over Western Hornet, 31-16, to pick up their second victory. Union Pines also a victory over Hornet Central by a 10-6 score. And what that does is it leads us to where everybody is in the conference right now. The Jackets at 2-0, of course, haven't played a conference game yet. The Cavaliers now at 2-1. They are 1-0 in the conference. Union Pines also at 2-1 and 1-0 in the conference. So right now, both of those teams sitting in a good spot. Hornet Central is 0-3 and 0-1 in the conference so far this year. Triton is 0-2, and of course they haven't played a conference game either after missing last Friday night. Western Hornet also at 0-3, and they are 0-1 in the conference. And basically what that does is it leads us into tonight's schedule, or a Friday night schedule, where Lee County, of course, right here on 105.5 WFJA, will be at Union Pines. So the third game of the season, Jackets yet to play at McCracken Field, so we're hoping to get to see that soon. The Cavaliers will be at Triton. Western Hornet will be at Hornet Central. So, of course, once we get all those games played up, want to remind you can go to the WFJA website and look up and see all the write-up of the game. You can look at all the stats from the night, the headlines, who did what, who were the exemplary players, all that and much, much more. So make sure you go to the WFJA website after the game. Probably be posted by midnight on Friday if you want some details, or check it out early Saturday morning when you wake up. Of course, Coach, we'll talk a little bit about, I know that we missed the game last week, so we really don't have any stats to go over from last week. But just to look ahead, Will Patterson right now 20 of 34 on the season, passing the ball, about a 60% completion ratio. Not bad for a first-time starter on the varsity level. Of course, T.J. Johnson right now with 24 carries, 87 yards. Leading the team is Bradley Brown, who missed last week's or the third game of the season against Overhills. Second game of the season against Overhills. He had one game but 102 yards, so he's still leading the Jackets. Of course, Darion Jennings and Rodney Ingram both with some nice yardage there. Tyreek McKendall leading the way for the Yellow Jackets, 7 catches, 129 yards, and a touchdown. And then we've got several other players, Kenyon Palmer, Jackson Lamb, Jason Berdicia, all with multiple catches and having a good season so far. But the Jackets have scored 3 times this year off of the defense. How important has that defense been to getting you guys off to a good start?
Yeah, Coach Jacobs and those our defensive coaching staff get after it, and it shows. Week to week we get to go against the best defense, in my opinion, in the state as an offense, and that's only going to make us better. But on Friday nights it shows. Our defense is making plays and they're putting points on the board.
Well, of course, there's a lot to talk about, Coach, as we get ready for Union Pines Friday night. We're going to take a quick break here in just a moment, and we'll talk about Union Pines, talk about what they bring to the table offensively and defensively. We'll get Coach's take on it, and we're going to do all that after we take a commercial break and hear from some of our great sponsors. We'll be back in just a moment. And welcome back once again to the Yellow Jacket pregame show. Of course, we're here with head coach Steve Bordeaux. I'm your host, Keith Womack, and we certainly appreciate you guys tuning in and, of course, the great sponsors that help bring this to you every Tuesday and Friday night. And, of course, Coach, we might as well talk a little bit about our Norman Financial Group offensive and defensive players of the week that are selected by WFJA Sports. Obviously, we did not have any this week. But there are awful lot of players I know in your mind that you look to stand out each week.
Yeah, so for us, I guess we didn't have one announced, but so far in this week in practice, a kid that's really been working his butt off is Eli Garrison. Eli's done a great job for us. He works hard. Does some of the scrappy things. His stats might not show all the things that it could. So far this season, I think his time will come. And another one is Kenyon Palmer. Kenyon's playing a little bit both ways for us. Guys haven't thrown the ball at him a whole lot yet. Maybe they will. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, well, it just gives folks, I guess, a great opportunity to go out there and show what they've got every night, and possibly one of those kids could be our Norman Financial Group offensive or defensive player of the game. And, of course, we have the coaches' player of the game, which is awarded and sponsored by Wilkinson Chevrolet. And, of course, we've got our nice trophy that will pop up here in just a moment. And, of course, again, no player. We did have T.J. Johnson, who's already gotten his name engraved on this beautiful trophy. In fact, I'll go ahead and set it right here, Coach, while we're on a roll, since I forgot to do it during the commercial break, but just a beautiful trophy, and their names will be inscribed on that and placed in the halls of the gymnasium with all the other honors that are bestowed upon those folks. So hopefully these guys will strive to do that. Again, Delmaz and TJ, and have already won this award. We've got plenty more that have a chance to be our Wilkinson Chevrolet player of the game.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's going to be something that hopefully the boys want to compete for. It's going to mean something because it's going to sit with the other big-time trophies that we have. It's going to sit right alongside them.
Absolutely. Coach, Game 3 opponent, Union Pines, 2-1 on the season, 1-0 in the conference. They beat Harnett Central 10-6 last week. I know that with the COVID break, did you prepare any different getting ready for Union Pines? You knew who your next opponent was going to be, but with the extra time, do anything special, or was it just business as usual?
Well, I guess the only thing that we were able to do is, since we found out Thursday, on Friday, typically we'd be playing. Harnett Central and Union Pines played, so I was able to watch that game a little bit, streaming it, and actually I listened to the Southern League and Western Harnett game, so I had both of those two things going on. So I was checking in on our conference a little bit as we weren't playing. So we didn't exchange film with Union Pines until after the game, so it didn't speed up our game plan too much, but it allowed us to continue to focus on us. We got another day of practice on Friday, a little lift and a little run to kind of run through some of our basics.
So watching that film, what did you learn about Union Pines on the offensive side of the ball? What are we going to look for Friday night?
Yeah, so Union Pines has made some big plays. They have a freshman receiver that's made a couple big-time, deep vertical threat type guy, made a couple big plays down the field. They have a more veteran receiver on the other side that has done the same thing and got him on some screens, and he's making some plays. So I think offensively they're a big play offense.
Well, absolutely. How about on the defensive side of the ball? When we're out there offensively trying to run that offense, what kind of scheme is Union Pines? What are they going to run, and are there some big plays or players to look for?
Yeah, I think defensively they haven't given up many points. I think last week they gave up 10, and the week before they gave up 14. And each week one of those scores really come off the other side of the ball. So defensively they've really given up one score a week. So we're going to earn everything we get down the field. They're aggressive. They run to the ball well. They're well coached. All those things that you want a defense to be. Union Pines are doing a really good job. So we have to execute, and hopefully we can make it competitive.
Well, Coach, thinking about a week off, it gives you a lot of time to heal. It's been 2 weeks. It'll be 2 weeks as of Friday night since the Yellow Jackets have taken the field. The good thing is it gives you a little time to recover from some of those bumps and bruises. Anything that we as Yellow Jacket fans need to worry about prior to Friday night's kickoff?
Now we're about the same we would have been last week versus Triton. You know, Coach Womack. You know, there's always too many guys in that room. Anytime there's anybody in there, but he's as good as it gets, taking care of everybody, treating anything. It's more bumps and bruises right now than injuries. Knocking on wood that are pretty typical. You know, after 2 or 3 games and 5 or 6 weeks of practice. So hopefully that continues.
And I'm assuming still nothing from the freshman with the broke.
So I'd say he's going to be week to week. He's running around the field, but he's still got something on his arm as of Tuesday. But, you know, I look forward to having him back out there running around.
Now, will the High School Athletic Association let him play?
Yeah, so we can a doctor has to clear that. But anybody who has a cast, it has to be padded up and get approved by the official pregame. Coach Womack would have paperwork to provide to the official, but it is allowed. But they definitely have to pad it. You can't go out there with that, you know, regular cast.
I always wondered that.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
to me, that's a good question. You see it in the pros, you see it in college, and you got to think that's going to be painful to go through something like that. But just always wondered if they would be eligible. Any fan updates at this time? I know Union Pines is going to be a much smaller stadium, so. Can Yellow Jacket fans expect to be able to get into the game?
Yeah, so tomorrow night we have our JV game. We can have 1,800 fans, so I hope a whole bunch of people come and check out the JV Jackets on a Wednesday night in the stadium. And then Friday we'll be at Union Pines. We can have 250 away fans. The link has been put out through social media. They're selling it. And if we don't get 250 of our fans, they're probably going to have some of theirs on our side. So hopefully we got a whole bunch of people coming from Sanford.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think Yellow Jacket fans need to come out. Support the Yellow Jackets as they always do, and, of course, we know they'll be there big time for them. But go online, and we'll check and see if we can get the website posted when we post the video tomorrow where you can go purchase your tickets to go watch the Yellow Jackets and the Vikings play next week or Friday night. Yep. And, of course, we expect to see you guys all there. Coach, anything else we need to discuss as we get ready for Friday night's game? This is going to be the first matchup of a conference opponent since Triton got put off until a later date. So we've got them coming fast and furious. We're going to have all the Harnett County teams. Yeah. We're going to have Triton back. Then we'll have the Cavaliers to finish up the season. Coach, moving forward, you know, how do you inspire these players to get ready each Friday night?
Yeah, so for us, you know, conference always means a lot because it's bragging rights and being everybody local that you played against growing up in youth football leagues. But this year, conference means everything. You know, if you want to make the playoffs, you go through your conference, and the only way to guarantee a spot in the playoffs this year is win your conference. If you finish second, you're hoping for some help. You got to be a wild card, at least in our conference. We only go guaranteed one spot. So every week, to me, is a conference championship game. If you slip up and lose one, you're hoping for help. So,
Coach, in the last 30 seconds, something I've been wanting to ask you. We had some great players that left this year or last year's team, went on to play Division I college football, some Division II. Colin Johnson, Des Evans,
Jaden Chalmers, DeAndre, whole crowd of them.
Yeah. Have you heard from those guys since football started?
We do talk a little bit. Some of these guys are going through spring ball right now in college. Spring games coming up in the next month, so they don't get to stop now. They're hard at work and trying to earn their way onto the college football field.
Well, once a jacket.
Yeah, always a jacket, yes, sir.
That's exactly right. All right, well, that's head coach Steve Bordeaux. We're going to come back in just a moment so we can wrap up the Yellow Jacket pregame show here in what is week 3 for us. We'll be back in just a moment.
Coach's show sponsors: Wilkinson Chevrolet in their new location on Highway 87 South. Domino's with convenient locations throughout the Lee County area. M.R. Stoner Electric, residential, industrial, and commercial electricians. Sheriff Tracy Carter, proud to support high school athletics. Carolina Firearms, your full-service firearms training and gun store. Kendall Pawn Shop, buy, sell, trade. Brick Capital Video, for all special occasions. WFJA for all your sports, FM 105.5.
And welcome back, and we certainly hope that you have enjoyed listening to the Yellow Jacket pregame show tonight with head coach Steve Bordeaux. Coach, just want to thank you once again for coming in tonight.
Yes, sir. I enjoy it every Tuesday.
Well, we'd like to remind you to join us each Tuesday night at 7 o'clock on 105.5 FM WFJA, and also this Friday night at 5:30 prior to our game at 6:30, also on 105.5 WFJA. Our coaches show is also posted on the WFJA website and the WFJA Facebook page each Wednesday by noon, and we invite you to watch and share this week's show with all your family and friends. We hope you will take these opportunities to join us for the season on the only station that brings you Yellow Jacket football live as it happens, again, right here on 105.5 WFJA. Best of luck to the Yellow Jackets coach as they travel to Union Pines this Friday and take on the Vikings in the Tri-County 3A Conference opener for Lee County. We thank all of our sponsors for bringing you our show tonight. Of course, Wilkinson Chevrolet, Domino's, M.R. Stoner Electric, Sheriff Tracy Carter, Carolina Firearms, and Kendall Pawn Shop. And we thank you for listening to WFJA Sports. So get ready, Yellow Jacket fans. It's time for Yellow Jacket football.